Pratitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
This is the last 4 verses, description of a bhakta. Bhakta means somebody who is related to Ishvara. Yo na hyushyati na dveshti, na shochati na kamchati, shubha shubha parityagi, bhaktiman yasame priyaha. Who wants to read? Yeah.
The one who does not get elated, is not hostile, does not grieve, does not desire, who has completely given up good and bad karma, who has devotion, is beloved to me.
Does it sound real? So this is why Bhagavad Gita requires a teacher. Because imagine if you read like this, so what am I supposed to do? Not get elated, not hostile, no greed, no desire, no nothing, no good and bad karma, nothing. So then what am I going to do? So, I'll be like zoned out. So that's what it is. So as I told you, some of our relation comes, which is natural and which is very healthy. Some of our elation is a result of our story, like I'm so great, everybody else is useless, or see I got it and others. So that means there is a distortion which actually makes our elation more than what is a natural thing, and that is a bubble that we create. So that's a bubble of our own perception. It doesn't actually correspond to reality. It's not just simple, healthy kind of being happy. Okay? So every time your happiness is distorted either by over-exaggerating your accomplishments, or if your happiness comes from looking down on others, so that is not called, so that artificial thing is gone away from home, right? So that person flows very naturally. Then, is not hostile. So drawing boundaries is one thing, that when you mean no, you are able to say no, but you don't have to kind of, say it rudely. Or if you feel that somebody is crossing certain boundaries and hurting you, then you are able to say, this hurts, whichever way, right? So that is not considered being hostile. Being hostile means, suppose you don't say anything, and then you are carrying it on. So that means, that is actually, this is what I was explaining about passive aggressive. Passive aggressive means it seems as though you're really nice. Very nice because you're not actually doing anything. And but at the same time, what it does is, because it's Ishvara's order, nobody is going to like being hurt. And suppose you allow yourself to be hurt, it has to show up somewhere. It cannot not show up somewhere. So where does it show up? Either as, that also it shows up in so many different ways. Either you feel I'm no good, so who will listen to me, who will respect me? Or it shows up as resentment, or it shows up as some suppression which will then bottle up one day and then one day it just explodes. So itself shows up in so many ways. Okay? So that means no hostility means you deal with issues. Our teacher used to say one thing, very beautiful. What generally happens is we ruminate. After the event happens, we may or may take an action, may or may not take an action. But what happens, it keeps playing in our mind. What did this, why did he do that? Oh, this was really mean, that was, so what happens, we ruminate. So, and that actually holds us. So he used to say that every time, for example, you felt something or you felt that it needed to be addressed. Okay? You can very deliberately let it go, saying that this is not a good time, this is not appropriate, it's okay. But it's not a pattern. Pattern means you are passive. Okay? So you can choose in one circumstance to not take any action immediately. That's okay, that's not considered passive. But suppose you choose one action, whatever that action be. After having taken that action, he used to say, tell yourself mentally, Om Tat Sat. What does it mean? Now I have dealt with it. Now that I have dealt with it, I don't need to carry it in my mind. I cannot, what is the use of going on repeating the same thing? So that means once the action is taken, then suppose that other person does something else, then there is yet another action. Then yet another action and Om Tat Sat. So that means there is no carry forward. No carry forward, no tit for tat. Oh, she did this to me and now I remember. Then after 10 days, so there is a I think Anna mentioned this, Ardho Papad, half papad. Who you mentioned? Who mentioned? Somebody mentioned. Shona mentioned. I don't know who mentioned. Okay, so there is a lovely story which I read as a child. So that stayed with me. So what is that one man had gone, you know that in India there are this is old style, now they have buffet and all. But initially, especially in Gujarati, we had jaman. Jaman means for wedding. So you'll sit down and people will serve the food for you. So one man had gone for that, and so all the food was being served, and then papad was being served. So when the papad was being served, then everybody gets one papad, and he gets half papad, half. So now he's thinking, everybody gets full papad and only I get half papad. Maybe it's the the host. He's trying to be really mean. He's humiliating me in front of everyone. He gives everyone full and he gives me half. That is really, I mean, he could have just told me, he need not have invited me, but he invited me. Then he could have just been nice while he invited me, but now he humiliates me. Now I have to show him back. So that means now the whole wonderful jaman means you have undiyu, you have puri, you have curry, you have all these amazing Gujarati food. Where is his mind? The papad. In the not
half
only
papad.
half papad, but not only half papad, with all hurt, with all these things that he's projecting on the host. Right? And feeling humiliated.
Remembering the gift he gave last time.
Exactly. So she has a longer story. Wonderful. Right? Exactly. So that means this is what now the whole dinner was gone. He goes home. Then again, how could he do this to me? Then he thinks and he says, no, this is just not acceptable. So I'm going to show him a lesson. What is a lesson? I'm going to call everybody. Then what? I'm going to serve everybody full papad and I'm going to serve him half papad. Let me see how he feels. So then now he has to save money because it's a big function, so he has to do that. So he saves, but all the money is gone in doing a function. And then he calls everybody, he invites everybody. Then the day comes, the other person accepts the invitation. So everybody is there. So everybody is there, so now he says, okay, now my chance has come. Now I myself am going to serve the papad and look at his face and see how he feels. I want to really derive pleasure from that when he feels disappointed or angry or whatever. Then I'll tell it. See, this is what it feels. Teaching lessons to people. Then what happened? So then he starts serving everybody. Then turn comes of this guy. So he actually makes the papad and he gives it. And for this guy who's receiving that half papad, it's a non-event. He didn't even notice it. So now he's waiting for some facial expression to change. He wants to see how it feels. And nothing, this guy is busy eating nice food and all that. He doesn't even notice that there is a half papad. And suppose, so then what? Suppose he wanted half more. If it doesn't matter, you don't notice how much somebody else got, how much you got, what was the intention of the person who did that. If you don't create a story about it and you want half papad more, you can always say, give me half more. So that means now that was a huge lesson for him. He says, I carried this whole picture for 1 year. I saved a lot of money and I spent it on doing this, and I wanted to teach him lesson, and this guy doesn't even notice that he has got half papad. This is our minds, right? We ruminate and we create further stories and further attribute further intentions, and this is why, and this is all our intelligence goes in attributing intentions that we don't know anything about. Feeling further frustrated, taking out some 2-3 independent events and creating one whole big story out of it, giving names to people. So that means all this leads to this hatred, because events are events. Events, if you don't like, you tell, you address, you move on. This is what we call this person who is just doing what needs to be done, no carry forwards. After taking every action, you tell yourself, Om, that's it, I dealt with it. So this is what, right? So, then what does not grieve? As I told you, there is one point which is grieving. Grieving is necessary. Any loss is accompanied by some grieving. But suppose here we are not talking about that normal, healthy Isvara's order of grieving. It means that small events or sometimes big events lead to depression. Depression in the way that you see no hope. You don't have any joy in life. Or you tell yourself, it's impossible now for me to be happy again. So this is, that kind of a thing means it is a lot of your own picture, narrative, which has got added to these events. So here I would like to mention one thing which will stay with me for a long time, because many people ask me, this is when you teach for years, then they're all same questions get circulated. In this camp, there camp, everybody thinks I'm asking my question. These questions are asked hundreds of times. So somebody asks, and it's a legitimate question. What if you have gone through some big trauma in the childhood? Something very big. Then how can you not hold on for a longest time? Right? Because as it is when a child is in one's formative years, already the brain is yet developing. So it's not like an adult brain which is able to assess, analyze and take actions. It's a kind of a developing brain, and the impact of those same events is much larger. So then something like that happened to you either in your childhood or in your life. Then how can you recover from that? So I want to mention, can I mention first of all? Yeah. Okay. So Surya, all of you know, he works with SPJ, right? And he was recruited by the dean, and the dean was very sweet at that time. And he kind of also called me, and I was just talking to him. And then, he's teaching spirituality in management school. So that's pretty unconventional, right? Which management school teaches spirituality, right? And he teaches Bhagavad Gita. He gives his own names, but he teaches Bhagavad Gita. All this karma yoga, all of this is covered. So therefore, I asked him, I'm just curious. So I asked him, what made you start this course? So then he told me a story which I'll never forget. He said that he was extremely clever. He was a PhD from Harvard or Cornell or wherever, and then he was working, and he was a professor at Harvard also, right? And then he says he came back to India, and then he was working with some big company, and they told him to come to this, be dean of this management school. So he decided to be the dean of this management school because he wanted to, make a contribution. Then he says that one day his son had gone for a drive with some of his friends. And he says 5 minutes after the son left, there was a head-on collision, and in that car only his son passed away. Everybody else survived. He said, I didn't know when he heard the news. Obviously, he said he was my son and I just loved him so much. And when he heard the news, he didn't know how he would live for one more day. That was the extent of his grief. Obviously, he was sad and he was, and obviously months passed, maybe like that. But there was what we call a turnaround. What was that turnaround? One day he said to himself, he says, you know what, this loss, till rest of my life, I can never forget my son. And every time I think of him, I will be moved. It's not that it will be. But he says, either I can just be depressed for the rest of my life, or I can do something and make that contribution which will be significant for people, around me. I am in a position where I'm dean of a management school. All these 800, 900 students, they come to me. They come and they study here. What can I give them which will make a difference in their life? A very fundamental difference in their life. That's when he started. When he didn't know anything about, that's when he decided to teach spirituality to all these kids, to make a big contribution. He says, finance, everybody learns, marketing, everybody learns, but who will teach you how to navigate your life intelligently through all kinds of situations that we have to go through? So he himself did not know. He didn't know about any spirituality. So he called one of Swamiji's students from Ahmedabad and asked him to give some classes. And now the student from Ahmedabad has a big ashram, he's a very established teacher. So he can't come full time. So he used to call him, once or twice a year, take clips. And based on that clip, he used to give seminars. He used to give seminars. Then, and then once in a while he would take his students to this Ahmedabad Swami and all that. And he said that started healing me, because I was making a very fundamental contribution to students' life. They were with me, and while they were with me, I gave them something that otherwise they would not receive. Then, when he met Surya, he said that somebody like you, I've been searching for years, who has management background, who has studied spirituality properly with a very competent teacher. So it seems as though I have been waiting you for this happen maybe some 20 years. For 20 years I've been waiting for somebody like you. And one day he told me, I don't know whether Surya was there or not, because I was close to him, he was very sweet, he was like a grandfather, lovely man, but really noble. He told me that, you know what, Surya reminds me of my son. It seems, when will you recover from an event like that? And it is true. Nobody can say, yeah, it's not. It is very, very, very fundamental and very, very strong. At the same time, your ability to turn it around. This is what I mean by trust in life. Trust in life means that no matter what happens, I have the ability to turn around. Instead of sitting and complaining and self-pitying and saying as though the world has come to an end, your ability to lift yourself up. That can only come if you understand the nature of the world as being pervaded by Ishvara. Otherwise it's not possible. Otherwise you'll say, why did this happen to me of all these people? What have I done? Why is life treating me so badly? So this is what we call that the grieving is what? Not, it never goes away, but it is converted into something very meaningful and profound and in form of a contribution. That is what actually heals people. So this is what we call then that person does not desire. What does it mean the person doesn't have desire? So I don't think I did it in this class, but the desires themselves are nothing bad. Desire is an expression of yourself. In this room, there are some people who are doctors, some people who are engineers, some are accountants, some are lawyers, some are painters, some are musicians, some are yoga people, some are psychiatrists, some are businessmen. So many different computer, all different kinds of people. Why did you, suppose I ask, why did you study this given discipline? You will say, yeah, as when I was a kid, I wanted to study. What does it mean that they had desire to study that? Is desire bad? Because by studying whatever you study, now this is what today Gita said, right? Thank God there was Mrunalini and Priyanka because they took care of Kar. So that means she had desire to study medicine. Is it something which is bad? Not at all. Through fulfilling that desire, what happened? She became a doctor. And through being a doctor, she served so many people. So please don't think that desire is something which is bad or you need to stay away from or it is problematic. You have three capacities which are your privileges. Capacity to know, capacity to desire and capacity to act. Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti and Jnana Shakti. This is your privilege. How you use your desire Shakti, that you need to manage. If this desire Shakti, which is otherwise your privilege, if you use it irresponsibly, then it becomes distorted. But if you use it to make a contribution or do, even if you are a good professional and you just are doing things, well, by even doing your job well, you are making a contribution. Right? Then you can go one step further. In Bombay, there is a very famous doctor. So, somebody that I know, she told me that he helps everybody so much. So he's extremely well known, so all these who's who of Bombay go there. But he also helps a lot of people who can't afford. So I didn't know, somebody told me. So when I met him somewhere and I said, you know what, I heard that you are helping so many people. And you know what his reply to me was? He says, if you are a doctor in a country like India, where there are so many people in need, how can you not help? Noble person. When I praised him, he could have said, yes, you know what, I'm like this and I'm like that. Nothing. How can I not do that? Humble. These people are noble. Noble people. So that means not only you can do your job well, you can extend your services. But do it quietly. without show, without sense of superiority, I'm so great, not needed. So this is what he says, that the capacity to desire is your privilege. If your desires are not distorted, then through your desire you can accomplish so much. And you can contribute to so many people's lives. But if your desires become distorted, then what? In order to fulfill my desire, I will lie, I will step on somebody, I will say bad things about somebody. That's distorted desire. So that means when it is said that the person doesn't have desire, it doesn't mean the person doesn't have desire. The person doesn't have distorted desires which harm others. When your desires are filled at the cost of somebody else, those kind of desires the person doesn't have. So that is who is completely given up good and bad karma. Okay, so that means, as we have seen, nobody can totally give up good and bad karma, right? It only is burnt when you have the knowledge. So what does it mean? The criteria for action becomes dharma. That becomes the basis of your action. Swadharma and samadhi dharma. That's when you don't have any major personal agenda. Even if you have personal agenda, they are not against Ishvara's order. Okay? So this is the person. So these are description of true bhakta. So this is where you can see what our normal understanding of a bhakta is. Somebody who is devotee. And what level Lord Krishna takes this bhakta to be. How is a real bhakta? How is that person behaving? How is this person interacting with the world? Okay. Then next. Samashatrau cha mitre cha tatha manapamanayoho shitoshna sukha dukkeshu samasanga vivarjitaha. Who will read? Yeah, please.
The one who is the same with reference to an enemy and a friend, so too honor and disgrace. The same with reference to cold, heat, pressure and pain, and free from attachment.
Okay, so now, see, enemy and friend, one thing we have to, again, in all these verses, you can't take everything literally. If you, this is where I am reminded of Mahabharata, right? So, Lord Krishna definitely had a preference over Arjuna, over Kauravas, and for Pandavas over Kauravas. So it's not like he has zero preference or anything. But I read this Mahabharata written by Ramesh Menon. And what it means is something interesting. What it means is, through entire Mahabharata, Lord Krishna, whatever he has to say, he says exactly as he wants to say. But while he says it, he just tells the truth. And after that, there is no, there is no other kind of holding on. Holding on means no further judgment. So there is a beautiful story in Mahabharata that Lord Krishna went to negotiate. When the war was declared, Lord Krishna knew that it would be a major disaster. So what happened? So Lord Krishna said, no, this has to be avoided. Then Pandava said, no, but who will convince Duryodhana? So Lord Krishna offers himself and he said, I will go and I'll negotiate on your behalf. So he goes and he negotiates and he tells Duryodhana very simply, you have been extremely unfair to your brothers. You have repeatedly violated them. They have been nice to you, but you have just been, further and further mean to them. So now, please give back their original kingdom, which is Indraprastha. You keep Hastinapura, but you give back that little part of the kingdom to them. Duryodhana said, no way. Then he went down He says, okay, give 5 districts. Don't give the entire Indraprastha back. Just give 5 districts. Duryodhana said no. Then he said, okay, give 5 villages. Duryodhana said, okay, give 1 village with 5 houses. No. Give 1 house with 5 rooms. No. Duryodhana said, now imagine, if he gave 1 house for them to live in a big kingdom that he had, what? He would not have lost anything. But this is the mind of a person who is distorted. Will not give even an inch. He says, I will not give even an inch. If they want to take it, let them fight and take it. Then he kind of was little rude to Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna says, who are you talking to? Who do you think I am? Right? And he left. But anyway, so negotiations failed. The war was declared. Now, when the war was declared, both Kaurava and Pandava, they were looking for allies, people who would fight on their side. And both of them went to Lord Krishna. Now when they both went to Lord Krishna, did Krishna tell Duryodhana that when I came to negotiate, you did not listen to me? When I came to negotiate, then you insulted me, so I'm not going to help you. When somebody came, he said, since both of you have come to ask for help, I'm going to help you both. And what an offer he made. What is an offer? On one hand, me, Krishna, without my army, without any weapons, and I will not fight. And on the other side, my whole army, all including my commander-in-chief, everything, everybody, all soldiers, weapons, army, everything. Then he gave Arjuna first choice. He says, Arjuna, even though Duryodhana arrived first, you were sitting at my feet and Duryodhana was sitting near his shoulder, so I saw you first. So you decide, what do you want? Non-fighting Krishna with nothing, or my entire army? While this offer was being made, what was going on in Duryodhana's mind? I hope this Arjuna is an emotional fool. I hope he falls for this. He is so attached to Krishna. I hope he asks for Krishna. Non-fighting Krishna, what is useless? And when he makes that decision out of his emotional commitment to Lord Krishna, I will get the whole army. This is what Duryodhana was hoping. What is Arjuna thinking? Arjuna says, in his mind, not out loud, right? I have all the skills in the world. I have the strength, I myself have a good army. What will make a difference whether I win the war or I don't win the war? Only thing that will make a difference is Krishna. If Krishna is by my side, I cannot lose the war. Both of them go extremely happy. Duryodhana got what he wanted, Arjuna got what he wanted. Krishna, this is what I wanted to show. Negotiations failed. At that time he tried his best. He told exactly what he had to tell Duryodhana. But when Duryodhana comes for help, there is no carry forward. You did this, you did this, you did this, so now I am not going to do this. Each situation you have to assess. And you have to do what? If the same person who has hurt you, suppose, and that person comes and asks for your help, what will you do? This happened to one of my friends. See, this is Krishna Arjuna story, how he behaves. But this happens in a different form, in a real life, different way. So this is really, so one of my friends, she felt that she was not loved by her mother or whatever. Now her mother is getting old, her brother doesn't want to look after her. So now, what is this situation? She felt her mother was always favoring the brother. But now, when she needs help, brother is nowhere around. Now she has to decide whether she is going to help her mother or not. Either it is an opportunity for her to get back to her mother and said, you never loved me. Why should I now take care of you? Or you can say, she did what she had to do. I have to do what? I have to do. And then she said, I decided, I don't know if I had not come to Gita class, I don't know what I would have done because I had so much hurt and I had so much pain and everything. But now that I come to Gita class, I will definitely look after you. Because I have to act what? Not taking revenge and not getting back. I have to do what I have to do. So this is your whole basis of interaction with the world. You don't give the power to others how you're going to behave. You decide on your own what are your values, what do you want from life, what is sounding, which is resonating with you, and you act like that. This is the person who's a real devotee. So this is Samashatraucha mitrecha doesn't mean the person is exactly the same, but there are no carry forwards. Okay? Now, there is another interesting story. Shitoshna Sukha Dukkheshu. So there is this, Surya already knows what story I'm telling. Okay, so there is, so, preparing for the story. So, and this is our teacher used to tell, and he used to make us laugh. I don't know if I'll be able to make you laugh, but I'm telling the story anyway. So,
You have forewarned us, we will laugh.
You laugh? Wonderful. Intresh, you start, then everybody else. Okay, so, okay, I'll do a sign when my joke is over. Okay, so there is this particular thing, Shitoshna Sukha Dukkheshu Samasanga Vivarjitaha. This particular thing in Tattva Bodha is called Titiksha. What is Titiksha? Titiksha is whole life we experience. Shita and Ushna stand for physical discomfort. If you don't know, if you want to take it literally, morning dip in Ganga. Cold. Right? So that means, so that is whole life. We cannot totally avoid physical discomfort, which is said by Shita and Ushna. Right? And Sukha Dukkha is mental discomfort. So nobody can totally avoid physical and mental discomfort. But what happens is, again, same thing, we keep ruminating. The same story is like, this band tape recorder, which goes on playing and playing and playing and it doesn't stop. So Swamiji used to tell us one story. So there was this man who was traveling by a train and he was with his wife. So as he was passing through some hot regions. And then he asked his wife that, where is the water? The wife said, no, I didn't bring any water. What? You didn't bring any water? You know that we are traveling for so long and how could you not do it? And, started really grumbling and being grumpy and this and that. So then he started, then the wife said, but you could have also carried it. So why didn't you carry it? He said, no, but that's your responsibility, whatever. So he was, and then he was like, then as the train was moving, you are always irresponsible. You are never careful about things. So that means there was a whole big blame game going on. kept on and kept on and kept on and kept on. And as he was talking more, what was happening? His thirst was increasing. Right? So that means now instead of saving his energy, what is this talking is all, and then it is getting more thirsty, more frustrated, more kind of blames are coming out. Then finally the station came. The station came and the wife said, oh my God, thank God the station has come, now he'll stop. So he immediately calls a vendor, buys a nice bottle of water, and then gives it. So now he has drunk the water and the train starts again. And she thinks, thank God, now he will not say anything. So he starts again. I was so thirsty, I was so thirsty, I was so thirsty. So that means what? Long after the problem was solved, he's still thinking about it and he's still suffering. Before his suffering was because of a reason. What was the reason? He was thirsty. But it was exaggerated by blame and by his over-talking. After his thirst was quenched, he was still suffering. Why was he still suffering? Because he couldn't get out of the mind the whole story kept playing in his mind, and all the blame kept going. So this is how human minds are, way after the events are over. Long past, and we all carry the loads. This one did this to me, that one did this. You remember all the details. You give further attributions, you call them names, they are like that, then you feel like a victim. All of this is endless. So that means at one point you have to say, people behaved in a way they behaved because that's all they could do. What am I going to do now? Yes, in the morning meditation, yes, I have heard. That is within Isvara's order. Anybody in my place would have felt hurt. There is nothing wrong. But I do have a choice whether to keep on nursing that hurt or to move on in life. So that choice we all have. And we have to navigate our life intelligently. So that means that you think is that person did that and you felt like that over that time. Right now your suffering is not because of that person, but now it is because of your thinking. That is the suffering. Because that event is long gone. It's over. But the carry forwards continue. So no carry forwards in life. So this is what we say, this is a true bhakta. At the same time, no pressure. No pressure means, no, I want to forget, I want to forgive. No such thing. But over a period of time, you're healed. This is called healing, not artificial.
So is this the diksha?
This is called the diksha. Your capacity to go through physical pain and pleasure with a certain amount of composure and no carry forwards. Otherwise, way after the events are over, we are still unhappy. Okay, next. Tulya nindasitir mauni santushto yena kena chita aniketa sthira matihi bhaktivane priyo naraha. What is this? Okay, Sanjay.
The one who is equal to censure and praise, disciplined in speech, satisfied by whatever he gets, who has no place to call his own, whose knowledge is firm, and who has devotion is beloved to me.
Okay, so the one who is equal to censure and praise, that is, I mean, again, it can't be literal, right? If somebody is abusing you or somebody is praising you, can it be the same? Can't be the same, right? So what it means is, though, here, what is a distortion? The distortion is, if I'm doing things, my motivation is, I'm not a people pleaser. That if I'm a people pleaser, what happens? I will distort things to please people. So when I want to say no, I'll say yes. Or at times, so who is a teacher that everybody likes? You always say wonderful. Then everybody likes you. Who doesn't like you? Everybody loves to be praised. So this is why whenever that teacher or whoever, the boss, let me take one example. Right? One example, which is a nice example I learned a lot. So that means, so a boss has certain responsibility, right? You can't just say, yeah, I want to be a good guy. So good guy means so whoever does whatever you just allow. Everybody likes you. But what happens to company? Yeah. So that means you have, as we saw in Swadharma, you have multiple responsibilities. So you have to learn how to navigate intelligently. You can't just, your actions are not to be good. The actions have to be, you do what needs to be done. That's how Krishna always was. He always did and said exactly what he wanted. After that, no carry forward. But he didn't hesitate to tell, even to Karna, to Bhishma, to Drona, he tells exactly as he wants to, what is the right thing to say. So there was a boss. So what is this? Now, what he did, there's something. He was a branch manager in one bank in South India, and what happened is one of his employees was always coming late. So then, what happened? He used to kind of, call him and said, you're coming so late, so come on time, come on time. So that went on for a few months. Now the employee is always coming late. So now he says, now what should I do? I have to fire him, or what do I do? Then he attended one of Swamiji's talks. And Swamiji was talking about how do you handle people like that, right? So neither you want to be a good person and just people pleaser, and you do what you want, you come whenever you want because I want to be considered as a good boss. Nor you want to be this person who is constantly putting pressure and whipping people and all that. There are other ways of doing things. So when he heard Swamiji's talk like that, he went back to his branch, and this is his story. He told us this story. And he says that the next morning, after listening to Swamiji's talk, I called that employee with whom I had this problem, and for the first time I asked him, why are you running late? Instead of, you're coming at 9:30 and this is 9 o'clock is the time, or whatever, constantly putting pressure. I told you once, I told you twice. And when he asked him, why are you coming late, the story came out. What was the story? That man said that I have a disabled child. Challenged. Now that disabled is no longer a word that everybody uses. It's not kosher. What is a kosher word? Challenged. I know that because I used to work with the UN. So we know, we are very careful about the words that we use. So you can't call people disabled. That's not. They call differently abled or
specially able.
Differently abled or challenged. So she had a challenged, differently abled person, and says that she's not able to go to school on her own, and I have to drop her. So therefore, and I have to drop her, and then I come to the office, and that's why I get late. So for the first time, he heard why she was coming late. And then he has to think about both, right? He has to think about, because if he allows one, then everybody else, just the general office, whatever, rules or whatever, which is not even said by him, it's about the bank, right? The bank sets the rule. So he says, now what is the option? Now he is not going to be able to come earlier. So what he did is, he had to travel very far, So he said, I called, there is another bank not far from his home. I called the manager and I said, do you have a vacancy? Because that then it will save his commute. Problem solved. This is how you have to do. We create only two options in our mind. Either this is a rule, this is what I have to do, the work comes first, and I keep on imposing my discipline, or I want to be a people pleaser. Oh yeah, that's fine, you do what you want. Between these two, there are so many creative options. So many things we can do. We never explore those. The mind works in a binary, bipolar, either this or that. Between those two, there are so many creative options that are available. If the mind begins to explore those things, then you become a problem solver. So neither you are looking for approval of others, nor you are indifferent to what they are, but you are trying to find solutions. So this is what we say, what? Tulya Linda Stutir Mauni Santushto Yena Kenachit Aniketa Sthimati Bhakti Mane Priyodara. That one. Okay. What is the time? I still have time. I can talk about one more thing. Here he says that who has no place to call his own. Aniketaha Sthiramati. Okay. What is this? There is this thing, we all have this sense of ownership. We live, so what do you, so suppose I said, what do you own? I own an apartment, or I own a house, then I own a car, I own this, I own that. Okay. Then the whole Bhagavad Gita says, what do you really own? Ownership means you have 100% ownership. You have to own everything from beginning to the end. The earth on which you built a house, is it owned by you? The earth. I mean, yes, legally you can own the land, but there was you came with this earth when you were born. You came with this earth. The earth was already there. Now what only happened is legal title. You just have legal title now, right? Then all the different bricks and cement and all the other things, is it owned by you? Somebody brought it, right? Somebody produced it, somebody brought it. The contractor, the architect, everybody, all of this is owned by you? Nothing is really owned by you. All of them work together to produce a home for you. So therefore, but there is a fact that you right now occupy the place. So our Swamiji used to say that there is no ownership, there is only trusteeship. Trusteeship means, yeah, there is a possession. Nobody can deny that there is no possession. But nobody totally owns anything in this world. The world was already there. Its possibilities were already there. The architects, the material, everything was already there. What was done is, things were assembled so that you can have physical occupation. You can occupy it. So that means that the ownership, the idea of ownership has to be turned into trusteeship. I am in the possession of this given thing for the time being. How does it change anything? Ownership means there is conceit. Ownership means there is this whole big insecurity, what if it goes away? But what if it is replaced with trusteeship? This is entrusted by Isvara to me for a length of time. And as it is entrusted to me, I do my best to do what I have to do. even the physical body, do you own? Our teacher used to say, hey, did you put all your muscles together? Did you produce the muscles and then put them together? Did you produce your nerves and put them together? Did you produce the chemicals and put them together? It was already put together. Put together and as you were born. And then the whole program for how you're going to grow up and how you're going to look and how your senses are going to develop, what kind of inclination your mind is going to have. Everything is provided. So that means you're not owner of anything external. You're also not owner of your own body and mind. You're just a trustee.
But can I have one?
Yes.
I was saying, Swamiji was saying something funny. He was saying, you know that there are billions of bacteria here? So they can claim your body. And they say, hey, this is our home.
It's about 90%.
90% bacteria.
90% bacteria.
This is why we have this yogurt which is probiotic.
Keep them happy.
Keep them happy. So that they make your digestion system.
By not disturbing you.
Yeah. Sometimes if they are less, you want more. So that means that this is also you're a trustee. When that ownership changes to trusteeship, what happens? Anxiety goes. Holding on goes. Responsibility comes. Abuse is less. Suppose you feel, I own my body. I can do what I want. I can be high on drugs, alcohol, whatever. It's my body. But suppose you say this body is entrusted to you by Isvara for a length of time, for a given purpose. What right do you have to abuse it? This is why in a court of law, you can't inflict pain on yourself. That's considered a crime. See, there's some of these it's amazing how human mind intuitively understands Ishvara's laws. Intuitively. Even if they are not explicitly taught. The whole legal system is based on some understanding of Ishvara's laws. So that means neither I have a right to abuse my own body, nor I have a right to abuse anything else in this world. I use it, and while I use it, I'm careful. And not only that, but with what I can, just I take from the universe, and my focus is also on giving back. This is what we call idea of trusteeship. Then so many loads of yours go away and the responsibility increases. Now, the last verse. Yitu dharmyatmrutamidam yathoktam paryupasate shraddhana matparamaha bhaktaste tiva nitriyaha. Who will read the last verse?
However, those who follow this life that is in keeping with dharma, leading to immortality, as was told, who are endowed with Shraddha and for whom I am the ultimate, those devotees are exceedingly beloved.
Nice way to end the 20th verses. So that means there is one point in Bhagavad Gita where Lord Krishna describes, and he says there are 4 types of bhaktas. There are 4 types of bhaktas. One bhakta is called Arti. Okay. She will write. I've given up writing. Not now, later. Okay. Arti is the one who is when everything is going, no, Artharthi is the second one. Arti is the first one. Arti. So I will write it, then you write it. No. So Arti means that when everything is fine, as Luxandra was saying, I'm in charge, I'm good, I'm very good. But when some crisis comes, pray. Right? So this is called Arti. Arti means when everything is going fine, Ishvara is nowhere in sight. But when you're in trouble, then you remember Ishvara. This person is called Arti. The second is what we call Artharthi. Who is an Artharthi? Artharthi is the one who recognizes that in everything that I pursue, I can try my best, but there are always unknown variables. And I'm going about unknown variables, you feel helpless. So converting that helplessness into prayer. And that means Ishvara becomes your accomplice in different pursuits of your life. This is called Artharthi. The third type of devotee, Lord Krishna says, is Jignasu. Who is a Jignasu? Jnatum Ichchu. Who is this? Who doesn't just want to draw help from this Ishvara, who wants to know what is the nature of Ishvara. This person is called Jignasu and wants to relate. See, any relationship. Suppose I want to relate to you. What decides whether I am able to relate to you properly or not? How much I invest in understanding you. So suppose you want to relate to Ishvara, but you don't want to understand what Ishvara is. You operate from your understanding of Ishvara. What kind of relationship it is? Incomplete. Because you are relating with your image of Ishvara. You are not relating with what really Ishvara is. This is why you get into trouble. I prayed so hard and Ishvara didn't give it. Then somebody will say, yeah, because you didn't pray with good heart. These are all we call people who give loose advice, they don't understand anything. So that's why you have to, suppose one lady said, I give so many talks, and I said, yeah, because we didn't pray with good heart. So I said, okay, let me give you one example. Suppose I drop this, and I pray to Ishvara, please don't drop it with all my heart. And with the best of the intentions. This pen will not fall? It has to fall. If Ishvara stops the laws of gravity for this little pen not to fall, the earth will collide with next planet. Do you understand this? Ishvara cannot change the world for you because it's governed by laws. If the world keeps changing to suit your fancies and fantasies, that will be a total chaos. This is Swamiji always used to give funny examples. So he says that one day, right, there was one day in one village, there was a wedding taking place, and it was an outdoor wedding. So some people were praying really hard that it should not rain because they have a party outdoor. In the same village, there was a farmer who has sown the seed, and he's praying really hard. Lord, please let the rain come. There are little boys who want to play in the rain. They are praying it should come. Somebody else says, I don't want to get wet. Please let it not rain. Each one is, somebody is praying it should rain. Somebody is praying it should not rain, depending upon where they are. In one village. Now, if Ishvara was his benevolent uncle who had to oblige everyone, what will happen? Chaos. So neither the farmer decides, nor the person who has a wedding decides. It is what? The physical laws. What physical laws? when the ocean water evaporates, what kind of cloud it forms. When it is going to pour as rain, no matter how much you pray. This is what we have to understand. So that means Isvara in form of laws, if they begin, what makes Isvara infallible is infallible laws. If the laws begin to change to suit you, you will be in a chaotic universe. So that means there is no wisdom. So everything is like even, oh yeah, pray with good heart, then it will happen. What? Suppose somebody is 100 years old, body is designed to live only for that. And you keep praying and you have very good heart and you are very sincere. Can you go on keeping the body alive? It's impossible. This is why we have the Vedic prayers are so beautiful. I told you about Mahamrityunjaya mantra, right? Didn't I tell you? I didn't tell you?
Shiv Manas Puja.
Oh, I said Shiv Manas Puja. See, this Mahamrityunjaya mantra is a beautiful mantra. It is to Lord Shiva, it's part of Rudra. It says, Trayambakai yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam. So what is this? Lord Shiva, right? The three Ayuva. So that means the one who has wisdom. You are praying to Ishvara. Who are you? You are Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam. You spread your blessing everywhere. And Pushtivardhanam. You nourish us. Then, suppose somebody is sick. What do I pray for? The person cannot live infinitely. Because it is it is outside Ishvara's physiological order. So, but how do I know whether the time has come or not? Who knows? So that means instead of praying, let him or her live longer or let him go. How do you know? So you pray. You say, let the person be released from bandhana, from bondage. How? Let the person be released from bondage like a ripe pumpkin which is plucked out of the tree. Pumpkin is huge, but if it is ripe, it is, but when you pluck it, it just releases itself effortlessly.
In fact, it's very close to the ground.
And then it gets released from the ground.
By the weight of the pumpkin itself.
It
Just
just
when it's ripe,
it
it gently falls.
falls. So, like that effortlessly, I want to be released from bondage. Suppose it is for physical event. What does release from bondage mean? It can mean the person can get well, right? That is also called release from bondage. It can mean if the time has come, the person to exit, because you don't know. And the third meaning is, let the person be released from bondage of samsara. What an amazing prayer. You are not specifying. So that means you are asking for, because you are working with Ishvara. You don't say, I want this to happen, because you don't know. So that means, even as you understand the nature of Ishvara better and better, your prayers get more and more refined, more and more nuanced. So, this is what this Jignasu is, the one who works with the laws of Ishvara, not goes on complaining and projecting on Ishvara. Then the final, Jnani. He calls even Jnani a Bhakta. The wise person is a Bhakta. Why is wise person a Bhakta? In fact, the wise person has become wise because the wise person has made oneself so ready that the avarana shakti of Ishvara is lifted. The cloud is removed. The cloud of ignorance goes completely. And the person sees the reality of oneself and Ishvara being one. And who is this person grateful to for this? Ishvara. The wise person is the greatest devotee. Because the wise person is blessed by Ishvara. And he says, hey, now I'm going to reveal to you my nature. Which happens to be your nature. So this is what. So that means you let Ishvara carry you in your journey of moksha. If you try to do it all yourself, figure out with your buddhi, okay, what is this, what is this, what is this? You are in control, I want it now, I want it in 9 days, 10 days, how come? There is no relaxation. The mind has to really begin to relax. You don't call all the shots, you don't control everything. You have to learn to work with Ishvara. As you begin to work with Ishvara, you take one step and the grace is so much. He says they are extremely beloved to me. That person who is my bhakta. If you have brought the understanding of Ishvara in every aspect of your life, then you are so aligned. Life becomes just flowing. You can accomplish a lot more and the loads are much less in any given area, including in this knowledge. So this is what Lord Krishna says. How did 12th chapter start? Should I think about Brahman or should I think about you? Because Brahman is the ultimate that you have to reach. So how does Lord Krishna answer? Don't think they are two separate goals. Reaching me is also reaching Brahman. But reaching Brahman alone without me is not possible. What a brilliant answer. So therefore, just exact 4:30.
Aarti starts at 9.
6. Aarti starts at I don't know what time, but we have to take photo. So that means one thing that I want to really, these verses of Bhagavad Gita are extremely beautiful because it makes the whole knowledge so much, enriched, because your mind has to be enriched. A small frightened mind is trying to figure out infinity. It has to become what? Prepared to hold infinity. So this is why. Suppose you are trying to build a very tall building without any foundation. You are very ambitious. If there is no foundation, there is a building. Even if you build, it will collapse like a pack of cards. Your relationship with the Ishvara is foundation for truth. So, I end this class, just our teacher used to say, when you will get to Brahman and all, I don't know. And it can happen now, it can happen tomorrow also. It can happen in this lifetime. It's not like it's not going to happen. Nobody knows. That's what is meant. Who knows when that vritti will come and it will take away ignorance? Nobody knows. But he said, if I put you in touch with real nature of Ishvara, I have ensured that your journey is started and moving forward. If not me, somebody else, whoever, whatever, lifetimes, wherever, what? If you have that connection with Ishvara, you will be carried forward. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnam
evavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti.